it was something that really saddened me as well as motivated to further think about how to
very
proceed.
interesting, and it has saddened me.
I have written that about that in my brief note also, sir. That we have to think how to proceed from here. And personally, I was thinking how to bring folk back, people back through. As folklorist, I think our task should be to bring voices of people and people themselves back to whatever through our research. That will be a counter to what we are facing.
Okay, I will talk to you later because I want to send the link to other people. I will talk to you later. Huh?
Yes, sir, yes. Good evening, sir.
Shiv Kumar Ji. Hello, Shiv Kumar. Hello, Shiv Kumar Ji.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sir, I have sent the link.
To my mail or WhatsApp?
To your mail, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it has come.
Did you receive it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think only 10 participants. So that means only 5 or 6 people are there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Professor Raghavan,
Sir,
yeah, shall we? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, shall we start?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Dear participants, today onwards, the first hour is your discussion hour. Yeah, the first hour is a discussion hour. So you have ample time now. 6 to 7, you can raise any number of questions on the portion that has been covered so far. By 7 o'clock, Professor Maqbul Islam from Kalyan University will take class. So now it is the time for the participants to clear your doubts by asking any question. Okay, now it is the time of the participants, please.
Good evening, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is audible. Parvatalu, welcome.
Yeah, yes, sir.
First time you were raising the question. Very good.
My question is, nowadays performing arts are becoming accommodative. How to understand it, sir?
Yeah. How actually what you mean by that? How we accommodate that? No.
Yeah.
Actually, what is what you wanted to know, that accommodating them means what?
Performing arts, sir.
Yeah, performing arts. How we accommodate what?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, the new performance, that is the performance that innovated by the individuals, and they are putting it in the channel or in the public places. You wanted to know that what happens to that, or that is the question that you asked?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Actually, that is as theoretically, when we speak on this, it is considered as folklorism. Now, yesterday, I explained that for two reasons, folklorism happens. One is by some agents who are the outsiders. They wanted to take this folklore or any performance, traditional performance, and give change to according to their need. They give some changes to that particular performance for the need of the spectators, and they present that in the tourism place or some other public space. That is one thing happening. That also in channel also the same thing happens. Now when they put it that into channel through channel, we can all over the world people see that. The other one is by the same community who was the owners of that particular performance, who created that performance and keeping that tradition. They themselves take their own performance, traditional performance outside their community. That means village or something. The reason was, or reason is, they wanted to project themselves. That is why they wanted to show the people outside that we are wealthy, we are prosperous with this, with great traditions, performing traditions, and we wanted to, project that, make known to others and get this. They are proud of that. That is why they wanted to take outside. This is the thing, that two kinds of things are happening. The thing, in the first case, people used to get money. Now people making money also. There are some, all over India, not all over India, all over the world. What happens to the performance is that they take that performance outside as an agent, and through that agent, they get this opportunity to perform outside, and that agent makes so much of money. Naturally, this folk tradition, who keeps this tradition in all cases, not only this performance, the tribal society also will be exploited by this way. The same exploitation will be there, maybe going on in this, in the case of this performance tradition all over India, all over the world. That is the two reasons. Now you are clear? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next. Anybody else?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, myself Bhagyavati. Sir, actually, when we are going to field work,
Yeah.
I am studying in the Kodava folklore. In that time, they are performing this. One time I went to, sir, I can't speak in English properly. You should adjust, sir. When
you can write in the paper and just read that, then it will be more legible, no?
Okay, sir, I will send in writing papers. Okay, sir. Afterwards, I will send, sir.
Yeah. No, not send. You can read by yourself. We had to see you. That is the main thing we wanted. So you write in paper and you read the question, and then we will understand that, no? That is possible, no? Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Within 1 minute, you can do that and come back.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank
you. Okay. Thank you. The next. Only 13 ആളുകൾ കേറിയിട്ടുള്ളൂ.
Yeah, I think only, no, out of 13, we are 4 people.
Yeah.
So only less than 10 people.
9. Now total is 13. That means 9. Our participants are 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Those who have come, they can ask some questions, and by that time they will join with us.
Okay, I will raise a question.
Yeah.
Because no participant is coming.
Sir,
now,
may I ask?
Okay, please. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Myself, Ruchi Rana, sir. Sir, yesterday's class was something else. I mean, it was very impactful. I could really understand why you taught about knowledge, and then about development, knowledge becoming an industry, about the two models that you taught, unification model, uplifting model. Everything became clear yesterday after understanding the interference of international forces understanding the nexus that is created and it impact how we define folklore. I was very, it was thought provoking, and I was thinking how, as an academician, because you also emphasized the role of academia, it makes ideology. How then, I was thinking, we as researchers bring back the folk, the people, because this current system alienates by making folklore a commodity. So how can we bring back the people and their discourses back into what we have lost, and in formulating new schools of thoughts, new ideologies? That is what I'm thinking, and if I hope that your coming lectures will be addressing to this question.
Yeah. Actually, it is a way of thought that is different from this channel. That is all this whatever knowledge created, almost all whatever knowledge created by this after Renaissance is somehow or other supports or it was the fuel for this globalization. So whatever happened in that one. So now the whole world is at a stage of thinking for something else, no, for the development. This development, no, that now they are talking about this carbon neutral. How carbon neutral can be? No, that's without energy, nothing will happen. Energy is the base of any industry. Anything that we are doing in this world, it creates a carbon. That is a problem. So energy, the energy that make use of, that is mainly for industry. And how we can cut short that. That is the main problem that we are facing, and nobody, no country is ready to cut short that amount of this use of energy and the carbon emission. Basically, the culture is the problem. They accepted, or we are having such a culture that emitting so much of carbon and making use of so much of energy. That is why this new, yesterday Sudhakar Reddy was also talking about that. Thus we can not only Sudhakar Reddy, Jala Perumal also was when we wanted to define culture. The rate of this evolution can be by measuring the amount of energy that they make use of. Each country, not only each country, each society and each person. If you use more energy in your life per day, that means you are using more these products. So to satisfy your needs, the industry produces these things, no? So when you take all these things together, the problem that now that we face is energy problem as well as carbon neutral problem. Then how we are going to cut short that? That is the main thing that we are facing. So you may be thinking that what is the role of folklore as a discipline? We have. This is the problem, that industrialization made all these things. Each industry, they consume energy and emit carbon. The same thing happens as when we consume things also. That happens. So we have to have a new way of development, and a new kind of development that we need. Otherwise, it is very difficult to manage these things and go for a better world. So all subjects, not only folklore, all subjects somehow or other have to come forward to this. But unfortunately, all social science and science, almost all social science and science are supporting this kind of industrialization and industry. And development itself is how much industry you can, you can start in your country or state or this one, and they can produce more products, and that sold out outside and import and export, and that is the criteria of development now. So a change is needed. So I think by birth itself, folklore has it's that kind of this attitude towards the development system. So in the initially, when it was popular antiquities, it is a balancing. When it is going swiftly towards forward, this is the feeling that we have a tradition, our own tradition, and that tradition is going to end, get troubled and extinction also. So that kind of nostalgic feeling somehow balancing this forward movement of all these days. So by birth itself, popular antiquities and folklore is a balancing force on those days till this day. Now we have to come forward, as you see in football, that back and center back and the side, these things, and center forward, so many people. So it is the time that the strategy we have to take a strategy that we have to, as center forward, we have to go swiftly towards to lead this world in another direction. We have to change the direction, that's all. That is the responsibility of folklore, as far as I am, in my view, is that we are the persons that have this capacity, have this outlook, have this ideology to correct the movement of the development. We can't go back. We have to deviate this one, the movement, that deviation. That is the prime function of folklore is, I think, that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I frame the question like this, sir. Sir,
Yeah. Carry.
when
Okay.
we go to the, yes, sir.
Okay, let her ask the question.
Yeah, ask.
Hello.
What happened?
No, nothing, sir. When we go to the field work, in that
Yeah.
time, celebrate the rituals in the resort or in city center.
Yeah.
That also they shows interest the preservation of their identity or their folklore rituals in that community. In that case, how can we analyze that type of data, sir, in our study time?
Yeah, that is available in the town, cities. The same ritual that the particular community, those who are living in these cities, they are also doing that. You wanted to do this field work and study on them. That is your question, or I didn't get the question. Yeah. Yeah, that means we explained that already explained that, I think, in earlier classes, that that is the people here. People are moving to the cities, not folklore. As a data or this folklore as part of their life. No, in some other case, no, folklore taken from somewhere and performing somewhere else, that is possible. But in the case, as you mentioned, it is the people who are having their own folklore move to the cities, some other places.
Yes.
Then they will continue that tradition. They wanted to continue that tradition, and they perform that ritual in their own surroundings, in cities. That is your question. That is your problem, no?
Yes, sir.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That is field work problem. Okay. This is theoretically we used to say that it is this coming outside. This maybe the secondary context.
Okay.
When we talk about that, it is primary context is folklore, and when it goes to the secondary context, that is migrated from one place to another, and the context has been changed a lot. And accordingly, new text is being created for the original text or the earlier text. So, keeping that in mind, that is not the original text that is performed there. It has an earlier text that is not pure or impure or like that. No, the thing is that as a community, they have their own community. There is a community that is in the village, and that village, some of the village people moving moving to the city, and they perform this. In the context of city life, the ritual, then it takes a new shape. So that is a new text is being created to satisfy their needs. So the problem you asked is that how we are going. The problem of field work, when you do that, then this we have to answer that what kind of research you want. According to your field work will be in according to that your aim and objectives. What kind of research you want? Then only we can say that how we are going to approach this that particular society or family and collect data. That is the thing, no? If you are going to have this performance, a ritual performance, if you want to have a comparative study, then you have to elaborately collect that performance details in detail. You collect the data and cut it into pieces, maybe small pieces, and you. As it is a comparative study of the ritual that is in the earlier text that is in village, there also you go and collect the same performance and cut the same principle. Out of the same principle, you cut it into pieces that also. Then each one, this trait, maybe that unit, you compare to each other. Then you get a result. So if it is the ritual, if you want to do the comparative study of ritual performance, that is the way. So if you ask a question in general question, that is very difficult to answer. And field methodology also, how to approach the people, that is from this gatekeeper too. We have a systematic way of doing field work, that how to enter the society, how to enter that, how to get a report, and how to collect the data, and what all that to be collected in which medium, and like that, so many problems are there. So that is common. So that is no difference between village or this one. According to you, when we talk about the gatekeeper, village headman, or somebody else in a city, in the same way, somebody will be there having some good contact with these people, and they can lead you to the particular person who is having this knowledge of that tradition. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Just a second. Actually, my video is not working. Uh,
Your video. Okay. Yeah. Now video is okay. Now
Okay.
it is okay. Okay.
No, I think while raising questions, you just open your video also, so
Yeah.
that the answer will be pinpointing.
Yeah. Video.
Am I visible, sir?
Not visible. I think I will tell. Shivkumar has to open that. Otherwise, can you open from there, or Shivkumar has to open?
I'm not. I'm
It's
unable to
unvi-
open it.
Yeah, yeah. Now it is. You are visible. Okay.
Okay, sir. My question is just related to the Bhagavati ma'am questions. I just
Hmm.
wanted to know then what about those people who are living at the same place,
Hmm.
but some sort of a distortion comes because, for instance, if you look at the particular song, that particular song sung by the old generation have a different version, but when it comes to the young generation, they are somehow distorting with the new vocabulary with the impact of modernization. The song, same song is there, sir, but the
Yeah.
essence of the song of the both is lost when we look at the original and the new song, sir. The same song, but different version, sir.
Yeah, it is. Your question is okay, but the problem is that when you talk about the theoretically, then as a field worker or a researcher, your position as a subject. Subject means one who does research. You are putting yourself somewhere, and accordingly you are assessing everything. That is why you can use the word. You are able to use the word distortion. It is something subjective. That particular people, particular young generation, singing that song in their own way. You have no right to say that it is distortion. It is not. As far as this field work is concerned, we are not judges. No, we are not. No, at that time you are not the capacity or responsibility or right to evaluate those things. No. While doing this analysis or this interpretation, you have your own modalities, and according to that you can express your this one. But when you do field work or something, this kind of attitude is not proper. That distortion of we can say at least this thing: a new text is being created by the new generation. This is one thing. The other thing is that we are losing this message, morality or something that you are afraid of. It is true, but whatever morality or ethics that you expect in earlier, you understood from earlier song and earlier version is something that have come from earlier text, still earlier text that the message was not the same, because how they changed, how they reached there by getting new message, new ethics, new value, moral value, everything. Now we feel that it is you have this earlier this earlier generation or this new generation, and it transfers or they create a new text. Then both this, and you yourself take this judging that this is morally something something not something subjectively approach that and say that this is new. It won't go with the morality of the earlier society. So that is not, we don't have, as a field worker or as a researcher, we have no right to say like that. We have no right to reject or accept these things. You have the right to say that this is available in this one. And what is the reason for that? Why do they create this new genre, a new text for this genre, then you can find out the reason for that. You have no right to say that it is good or bad or this one. That is the thing that as far as research is concerned, because it should be a somewhat objective one. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have one confusion. Not confusion, but I would like to ask something related to Pooja ma'am's question. Sir, in one class, you did mention in the beginning that in one community, there can be a text that is expressed through different genres or mediums. So I was, while you were talking, I was thinking whether these texts have an overlapping parallelism and interconnectedness within the community, that they are, performed or played together or used by the community side by side. There is an interconnectedness between different texts and different genres.
Yeah, you are talking about single genre and having a different text in the same community. Yeah.
Like the older text and the new text can be side by side. They may have overlappings and interconnectedness. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the thing, that if there is a folk song, for example, there is a folk song, traditionally people used to sing in the particular context. Then what happens, the new generation take that song and they have created new text out of that, and that also is a, by some reason, that also popularized in that particular community, and it will be side by side. Yeah, that is your problem, no? Yeah.
Yeah, I was much curious, rather than focusing on placing one as authentic and the other new one as as a binary opposite of it. It will be more beneficial to understand how the situation within a community make such new text available, or make that happen. Understanding it side by side.
Yeah, it is. You are.
Not in
I'm not
opposition.
clear about that, whether it is a problem that the society faces or the researcher faces by this. It's a society, community problem, or your as a researcher, what you observed, that creates some trouble, creates some problem to you yourself. Which one is that? Your question is on what?
Sir, it's not a problem, but as a researcher, I was thinking that we should have clarity of not prejudging a new text against the older one, because you don't know, the older one might be some kind of modification from the earlier generation.
Yeah. So I think that's a question, but two text or variants are there. Or now, when you learn this historical geographical method for this Carlick Rohan's this one, they pick Kalevala. Each try to got so many variations in Finland, but not in the same geographical area. In different geographical area, your problem is that in the same geographical area, different text. Yeah, that is your problem. So that is possible because it is after some time, this what happens to that particular two or more variants is that, or text is that the earlier one slowly maybe merged or dissolved, and it gets some flourish that other because the new generation have their own right, their own circumstances, this context, and they wanted to flourish that because to satisfy their needs, so the earlier one will disappear. So what is the problem in that? By that studying that, we can understand towards what direction that particular community moves. That is our understanding. That is our responsibility to understand this direction of change, attitude of a particular community. You can predict that. This is the direction that communities goes, morality or ethics or anything, that message under that. A new text is being created not simply because they wanted to communicate some new message also. Apart from the earlier message, either they wanted to delete some part of that, or add some part of that new message that context insist to the new generation. Then they create a new text out of that. That's the reason. So it is our duty as a folklorist to understand that what is happening in the society actually. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Rajeshekaran.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, Richard M. Dodson, they classified folklore as oral folklore and social folk customs, material culture, and performing folk arts. Also, I think R.S. Folk. Yeah. How he divides the folklore as a library catalog system, sir?
Yeah. That is the difference on how to analyze the folklore and understand the genres. As far as Richard M. Dodson was concerned, he tried a lot to classify the folklore, these genres together and put together and find out a good classification, but he failed. And at last, telling the same thing, he was doing this. He was mentioning that that as a broad classification that is mainly the nature of that particular folklore, that is through oral, through social, through this that is inside the mind, and like that material culture also. So this kind of classification he made because he was not able to, because this crisscross sometimes this you can't put on the each, sometimes each genre comes while if you put some analytical rule, then you can't classify. Same genre will appear in different groups. So overlapping all the time, overlapping, and it was if you take this analytical method, the base of analysis is the function, then the same genre comes in different category. If you take them as a basic principle of this text, that is this content of that, then accordingly you can classify that the same genre appear in another group. So that was the problem that he faced during his time, and he doesn't want to say that it is like this genre classification. So, but R.S. Fox was in another way, that classification already there, that the book's content classification, actually it is a content classification. What the particular genre's content, according to that content, not only content, this that feature also. So what all these things, in the gamut of this folklore, what all genres are there, and according to the content and according to this, that is why he put this main genres as a ballad or like that. So many things. This oral tradition comes in particular from this number to this number, and then go to the content. Then content at this subclassification. Each like that, each number has its own number, not number. This alphabetical, this one ABCD, and each that gets then numerical subcategory, and after that taking some other category, some other this criteria for classification, then it goes to point 0.001, then 0.1, then again 0.01, like that. This is similar to that of this library classification. So that is the thing that happened. No, but nobody was bothered about that later, because so many, it is technical, it won't to identify, okay, but for this later study, for your analysis and interpretation, it won't help. To categorize, okay, that's okay, but for the analysis and interpretation, it won't help much. That's why later it was not considered. Only those who are in folklore field as a historical, in the history of folklore, we come across this box classification. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, Ononagain here.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I am on my way to home, so I'm on the road. I don't think that it's appropriate to start the video. So may I ask the question with the audio?
Yeah. You are on the way, or you are?
I'm on the way, sir. It will take 1 hour more to reach the home.
Yeah. Okay. If it is legible, I can answer. You know.
Yes.
Moving sometimes, you know, this net problem will be there. Okay, you can ask. Don't worry.
Yeah. Sir, my first question is, we use two terms, folk life and folklore, sometimes synonymously. But I think that folk life, what I understood attending the lectures in this session, that folk life is much more associated with the cultural aspect of this field, and the folklore is much more literary, right? Like the oral traditions as it is distributed, and like the performative arts as it is being performed, and folk life, it encompasses lots of things, like the lifestyles of them, the dresses they wear. So one is much more cultural, the another is much more literary.
Yeah, that is your problem, or you have to ask.
Am I right in, sir?
Yeah. Okay.
This is one thing, and okay, and another is that I also came to know this term folklorization. What actually does this term means, folklorization? Can we, that is another question. And so, one more question with relation to the past questions, that for the survival of any folk culture or folklore, we need to, I think, adjust ourselves with the current situation of globalization and modernization, I think, so that in this process, in this postmodern world, creating new text out of the existing texts, it is in a constant way, it is always happening. So I'm giving some illustrations, but my actual question is, so if I think of a community practicing and disseminating the a medicinal herb that's uses and all those things, and it is aware of the knowledge today, but due to this urbanization, globalization, all these things, slowly, if they themselves forget about the medicinal properties, values of that particular herb, so who will preserve this? What will happen to the future of this medicinal herb? So what is the how much is the probability of that being existing in the society? These are my query.
Okay, you have 3 questions. That first one is related to let me I forgot about that. The first one is just to say this one word, then I will remember exactly.
Folk life and folklore.
Yeah. That is a serious question because culture, the word culture and word folklore as a concept, it is not word. It is both are concepts because it is beyond the meaning of word. It consists of a more meaning inside that, and it was for the saturation. No, nobody can change that. It is once a concept is created, it will be forever. So the word meaning may get changed. After some time, in the evolution of the language, that particular word get new meaning because as far as linguistics is concerned, there are several shades of meaning for a word, and some shades get prominence, and later that gets more prominence, and that will be the meaning of that. After some time, it may lose. Like that. The main thing I want to say that a word has a meaning, and it is the time goes, it may get changed. But if you have a concept, you consider one word is a concept, it is forever. No change is allowed unless somebody comes and analyze that concept and say that this is we can modify this concept like this. Still, the earlier concept is the main concept, and it is the modification of the concept. So both concepts will be there. So like that, the earlier authors used to give some concept, and that concept gets so many variants, so many modification by proceeding this one. These scholars. So the first thing I wanted to say is that this is both culture and lore, folklore are concepts. So then what is the meaning of what kind of meaning this culture inside that concepts? It varies. As far as culture is concerned, the meaning of culture that we use in literature is something else. We use the word, the concept in anthropology, it is something else. In some other discipline, it will be something else. So we are quite confused with the word culture. That is why culture has so many definitions. That means culture is not a single concept. It has so many. It has so many these concepts together. So that is one thing. According to folklore, no problem. Folklore gets new concepts. The initial concept that when W.J. Thomas used that word got so many modifications one after another. And now we are talking about folklore at the 21st century. So then what is the difference between these two? That is actually this Dawson made this more confusion in that this one folk life. So it is not part of folk life. Is not part of. One is folk life is what we are now including everything that this one. For the better understanding, I can talk about folklore first. Lore is actually this. What is available as a genre. Later there's a genre with the context. Dan Benamos used to say like that. Still, folklore means which folklore? You have to say that it's valid. It's a genre. Like that, it is specifically. It is if it is a material culture, you have to specify that. It is an idea. You have to specify that each and. So folklore is generic concept. That as far as folklore is material concerned, fact is concerned. But culture means some total of not this like genre, this law. It is the sum total of everything. That genre is there, that lore is there, how that lore works in the society, the whole thing, that lore has a life. No, in the life of the people, that lore has its own function, and it makes more, it is latent in the society. So that is called folk life. That is the difference between these two. So we don't want to confuse that. That is the thing for that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. The second one, I didn't notice that because I don't have a paper here. Yeah.
What is
Yes.
folklorization?
Folklore. Yeah. That's a concept because they wanted to know, as far as you told, this new text genre, and we were talking about that also. Then once upon a time, till I think till this Dorson was so particular about that, it's you can't change, you can't take outside the context of a particular genre from its context. That was his argument. That is why he went for the concept of folklore. So folklorization process later, when the life has changed, and for so many reasons, people used to migrate. Folklore also go outside by itself for so many reasons. Then there was a discussion in folklore that whether we have to include this phenomenon also under this subject folklore. Then so many debates happened, and after that it was approved later, and folklorism, we approved that folklore has two phases. That is, in its original context, it is called folklore, and when it goes the outside of that, then it can be considered as folklorism. Why it happens? So that folklorism happens because of the social pressure, or this any kind of pressure, environmental pressure, a contextual pressure. So after some time, any folklore getting a new text out of the earlier text, that text under the pressure of the social, every kind of pressure in that particular group of people, and the time goes, they get sanctioned in that particular community as their own folklore. It gets this tradition, and it is the tradition of that particular society, and it also considered as equal to folklore. So how it gets, then what is the process in between? Folklore moves as get transferred, and then it gets the status of folklorism. In later, that folklorism becomes folklore again. So then they wanted to study about this process behind this change, transference. How folklore becomes folklorism, one phase, and later, after some time, during a course of time, that folklorism becomes folklore. It's a folklore of that particular community. And what is the process behind that? How it gets a social sanction? Then it was found out that it was explained in such a way that a folklorization process, that is approval of the particular society who are behind the society, who is behind that particular text. This is folklorization process. For the time being, you can understand like that. Folklorization, it's something more to say about that, but now it's enough, I think. And your third question. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
my third question is, if any community wants to forget their own culture. Like we, the Bengalis, we now wear, or the Indians, we wear saris for too little, too less occasions now, except some puja at home or some traditional function. We don't want to wear because of the urbanization or Sanskritization or the colonial hangover, whatever we may say. So then, if we don't want to preserve our own culture, then who is responsible if one day it get extinct? Or what is the being this working or
What
functional?
is exactly you wanted to know? That it is happening all the time, that when this new context is being created, or as we term this contextual pressure, then sometimes we are not for this earlier text. We wanted to create new text out of that. What actually you wanted to know about that?
Actually, sir, if we completely stop wearing, sir, if we completely stop performing any song,
Yeah.
then what will happen? We are not generating new text. Then what will happen?
Yeah, that is good. No, then basically, I think I am wrong or right. I don't know. Whatever I feel, I am having the knowledge. Whatever knowledge I have, it's a new question, and I can give explanation like this. No, the new generation, they are not creating any new folklore. That is the essence of the thing that you have you
Yes,
mentioned. I think, yeah.
Yes.
But how we, as folklorists, we are going to understand that folklore is shared communication shared by, if that is the definition, later definition, that the communication, Dan Ben Amos says that it's a communication system. And that means if the new generation doesn't want to keep that old way of this genre, and they are not creating any genres, that is your complaint. Is it so?
Yeah.
Then we had to, without folklore, nobody can live, because without communication, as a man, as a social being, without communication, without sharing, we can't live. Maybe intensity of the sharing tradition and the tradition of the sharing may be lessening, or something happened. But we are fond of now. Your problem is with the genre. That genre is no more. They are not creating new version of that genre. They stopped creating that genre. That shows that genre, that particular genre, that particular folk song is not capable of fulfilling this function in the society, the particular society. That is why they don't want to continue that genre. It doesn't mean that they don't have, they are not creating anything. They are to such, basically we have only very few this one now, this as I think in earlier I discussed that also. We have only 5 organs, and satisfy these 5 organs, we are doing all these things, apart from that mental, this one also. But the earlier generation created their folklore to satisfy their needs, which satisfy any of these 5 organs, or mental exercise also. But this genre, particular genre you refer, may not pop up with this new life. The same kind of function is satisfied by some other genre. It is the duty of the researcher to find out that instead of this folk song, what all functions it was it was fulfilled by that folk song in that particular community, it is substituted by some other thing. Otherwise, they can't live. So you are worrying about the genre, not the message. Some message will be, that message, message means the earlier message and not the same message. Some kind of that function is something concrete, static. That function served by some other genre, through some other genre in that particular group of people. That is why it is our duty to find out that what is the new genre fulfilling the earlier function of this folk song. It is our responsibility, that as far as the folklorist is concerned. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I think we'll stop here.
Yeah.
And we'll continue that discussion by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because already 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Okay. Thank you for all who asked them the questions. Okay. Yeah. Let us leave for Makbul, Professor Makbul. Okay.
Yeah. Today, our guest is scholar Professor Makbul Islam from Kalyan University, the West Bengal. Sir, please show your face. I think he's a well-known figure there. Yeah, Professor Makbul. Hello. Professor Makbul Ji. Yeah, he's there. Hello, Makbul Ji. It seems there is some problem with this audio. He is trying. Who will introduce? He is a well-known figure in north or northeast area. Anyone from northeast area can come forward and introduce Professor Makbul Islam. Yeah, Makbul Ji. Hello. Hello. Yeah. Sir. Yes. Now I request Professor S.K. Makbul Islam.
Somebody from Bengal, they can ready. Somebody from Bengal can introduce him.
Sir, can I introduce him?
Yeah, Nabadir,
Sir,
can
I
you
introduce him?
Yeah. No, I think some of his students are here.
Okay.
Oh. Hello.
Mandal wants to introduce. Professor Mandal wants to introduce him. Let him introduce.
Okay. And what about our Sujay Kumar Ji?
Yes, sir. Can I introduce him?
Yeah. Hello.
Sir. Can
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Sujit Kumarji.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can I start now, sir?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Dr. Maqbul Islam wrote more than 30 books on folklore and folkloristics. He was the DSW of the, actually Deans of Students Welfare of Kalyani University, and also the adjunct professor of the Department of Folklore of University of Kalyani. Now he is working at the Department of Bengali, St. Paul's Cathedral College of Kolkata. The college is running under the affiliation of University of Calcutta. He also the guest or guest faculty actually of Ramakrishna Vivekananda University, and also Vidya Mandira College of Belur Math, and the guest faculty of the University of Calcutta. And he did lot of works on folklore and folkloristics. He edited a name folkloristics. Now he is renowned folklorist of West Bengal as well as India. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Thank you, Sujit Kumarji.
Yes,
Professor
yes.
Maqbul Islam is a folklorist well known even outside Bengal. Not only that, he's a field worker. He's a what I can say, he's a regular field worker rather. Whenever you see him, he will be having a bag with him, bag with one tape recorder and a camera and a notebook. He is having a lot of information. When we visited his college in Calcutta, the whole room is depicted with what you call the findings of the the recordings, what he has done there. Really is a very good field worker. Now I invite Professor Maqbul, sir, to present your views to our participants on folklore. Because the topic is not given to him, it is left to him. So I think let him speak. Later on, you can interact with him. Okay, sir. Maqbul, sir. Maqbul, sir. There's some problem. Hello, Kainatji. You are 1 hour late.
What happened? Actually, he's in the
Yeah.
There's some problem, I think, range problem, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I will call him. Then, okay.
So I think there is some problem with this audio. You is trying for that.
Yeah, yeah. I will call him and realize.
Uh, okay. Okay, we'll do one thing. I request Professor Sudhakar Reddy sir to explain something about what is called folklore, folklorology or what to say, folklorism rather. Because one of the participants raised a question on that. You can explain until Makbul sir is ready.
Yeah. Ready. Makbul is in the in this. Makbul already available.
But
He's
he's
available.
not seen. He's not seen.
It is there. He is there in the list. It is seen.
Yeah, list,
Then what
but
happened?
only thing is he's not seen. You just talk to him. Yeah, he has come down.
Yeah.
Okay. Makbul ji, you just open your the video and the audio.
Sir, Makbul sir.
Okay. He is there in the list. Yeah, he is there, but.
Sir, Makbul sir, you can communicate, sir.
Okay. Shikumar ji, what is the problem? You just see him.
Sir, there is no problem. He is live in the platform.
Okay.
Both audio and video is unmuted.
Sir, what can we do? I think Sudhakar Reddy sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. I am here.
Because there was a question in our options on folklorism. Can you explain something about that?
Yes, sir. I can. See, there are two concepts. One is called folklorismus by the.
Yeah.
Sir, muted, sir. Sudhakar Reddy, sir.
Oh, sir. Can you hear me now?
You are seen in here in that you entered.
Yeah, it is audible, please.
Yeah, please. Sorry. It's my mistake. So folklorism.
What happened?
Before actually, yeah, Islam is coming, I suppose.
Yeah. I will send it.
Yeah, 1 minute. I will.
I think Professor Sudhakar Reddy,
I'll continue.
you please continue. Let him join by 7:30.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank
We'll
you.
make it 7:30 to, I think, 8:30.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. As you wish.
Until then, so you can take 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. So, folklorism, prior to folklorism, Regina Bendix, folklorism is basically an English term, but the German term was folklorismus, and it was introduced by Hans Moser and also Hermann Basinger. Both have introduced this term. And when they introduced this term, it was taken or similar to the other term called folklore or invention of tradition. Invention of tradition was introduced, actually the concept was introduced in England by, I forgot his name just now, I forgot. There is a book by him, edited by him, it's called, he's basically a neo-Marxist. Anyway, that I'll come back to his name. So he has introduced this concept called invention of tradition. That means a cautious move towards popularizing a particular cultural expression for identity, for a larger identity, not for the just communities as small groups identity, but to a larger identity. And most of these carnivals and festivals have emerged as invented traditions. Now, the folklore, which is concomitant to that kind of idea, was introduced by the American scholar, as you all know. So he was of the opinion that the secondary status of folklore is basically a folklore for two reasons. One is it is not within the community, it is not of the lore of the community, it is not the lore of the community rather, and it is also not expressed within the community, either by the community or for the community, it is expressed. Therefore, he calls that as a folklore. Now, folklore and folklore, as he himself has withdrawn that term later, and he accepted that we cannot simply discard several of these invented traditions as folklore and should not be worried about that. He said that no, it has to be included within the scholarship. Anyway, now what is folklorism? Folklorism is basically of the same kind, but with the three distinct units. Explanation is given by Regina Bendix. One is the item that is actually done by the folk, a community, and the community, when he does it for a public performance or for the community's sake, that item is taken out of the community. Some people will get trained into that form and then they will present it to a larger audience, either through mass media or through invention of tradition kind or festivals, whatever it is. Now, most of these, so-called quote and unquote genres of folklore are actually demonstrated to the others, not by the folk community, but by the other community for several reasons. I don't want to get into that kind of reason. One of the reasons is that these people are not competent enough to communicate because of the language constraint, because of the manner of articulation and point of articulation. This is actually, binary kind of stuff. So it is very difficult for the others to understand that particular narrative or a performance. Therefore, the others will come and take it out who are quote and unquote literate and use mass media or any other kind of platform and do it. So this is one layer from folk to the non-folk. The second layer is that when the folk uses that lore within the community, then it is having a cultural context within the community. Now the second layer is that context is changed. That means it is not expressed within the community for the sake of community, but it is done for something else. It could be an entertainment or it could be a protest movement, etc., etc. Ugu Katha, for instance, or some other Bengali songs like, those, what is that? It's a very baul songs. Baul songs, they are all used in a different level for different purposes, including protest movements, including for so-called, raising the consciousness of the proletariat or groups or etc., etc. So there is a contextual change. The third one, these two will result in the textual change. That's a different performance studies are interested in that kind of textual change processes. But folklorism is not interested in textual change, quote and unquote. That is not the major concern. The major concern is that from folk to the non-folk, from the primary context to the secondary context. Then the third layer, which Regina Bendix is talking about, is the audience. Now, within the folk community, the audience will be that folk itself. Say, for example, Jamba Purana or any caste myth for that matter. When it is performed for the community, therefore the audience are within the community. They understand the text, they understand the nuances of it, and how they relate themselves with the others is also told in that myth, so on and so forth. How the right has come to perform this is also there within the narrative, so on and so forth. Now, when the audience are different, from the primary audience to the secondary audience, then it has to undergo again the changes in the text, otherwise it has no meaning. So the audience, when they change, what happens to the whole performance? The whole performance gets either abridged or different contour it is being expressed. For instance, that this interstate cultural performances conducted by Government of India, and from the 7th plan, say the 8th plan onwards, it was increasing. The fund was increasing for this particular thing, and academies were doing this business. Telugu Academy, Sahitya Academy, etc., Natak Academy, all these things are doing this kind of business. So the academy is basically a kind of institution which actually takes out these forms and then present it to the new contours, new audience, etc., etc. So this is exactly what Regina Bendix is calling as folklorism. But why folklorism?
Hello.
She comes up in 80s, another revisiting folklorism, another article, where she talks about folklorization, which means this community, when this particular non-folk group, when actually they take out from the folk the genre and then try to modify it for the sake of a larger community and a different context, what they are doing is that giving an identity to that particular folk item, not as a local folk item, but as a cultural item of that particular region or even the country. So this is basically the nuances. So the identities of a larger cultural group is done through folklorism. So the whole problem comes here is that when you say Kathakali, which is or Kathak, which is actually a state performance, considered as a state performance, whether it is classical or let us say folk, or that is not the debate right now. But there is something to do with the cultural group. It is within the cultural group it survived. Now you look at what happens to that cultural group, cultural item. It has become a national identity for not just for Kerala, but for India. So it is used as a symbol.
Sir, Makbul sir is in, and he
is
requesting for his.
Please, I'll stop here. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir. Makbul sir.
Namaskar.
Sir.
I think now Professor Makbul sir is ready.
Yes.
We will continue the discussion tomorrow. Now
Okay.
I request Professor Makbul sir to present our views.
Okay. So thank you very much at the outset. Very good evening, all of you, and I express my thankfulness to Fossils, to Institute for Indian Folklore, IIF, for organizing this program and for giving me opportunity to express my view, to share my view, and to learn your view in this great platform. So first of all, the issue revisiting folklore and folkloristics has touched the minds of individual scholars even earlier. but this workshop has made it a serious point in national level. This workshop, which all of us have been watching since 3rd February 2022, is not only an online program, it is rather an academic and intellectual space where serious theoretical and practical questions have been taken into consideration. In this new millennium, IIF is a national platform which has started her journey from fossils in 1992. Today's workshop is the result of 3 decades thought and struggle. Formation of fossils, Dravidian University, Karnataka Folklore University, and finally, the formation of IIF are the major points of landmark in our journey in the sphere of Indian folklore and folkloristics. In this workshop, we are having a very healthy dialogue on folklore and folkloristics in the rapid changing scenario of both national and global perspective. And after listening to the presentations so far made in this workshop till today, there is enough reason to accept, to believe that we are doing an advanced study with intensive care, with unquestionable seriousness. By this time, we have listened to the valuable speech and comments of Professor Raghavan Payanar, Bhaktavatsal Reddy ji, Y. Sudhakar Reddy, Chilla Perumal ji, including the interaction of the participants. Their presentation, their angle of analysis, their vision altogether not only inspired us, but also prompted us, rather compelled us to rethink, revisit, and re-understand folklore. If we take into account the speeches delivered by Raghavan Payanar, Sudhakar Reddy ji, Chilla Perumal ji, including the interaction of the participants, we will find that multiple issues have been presented. So I also took part in this program as an, not of course as a participant, but of course as a learner, because whatever presentation have been made here during the last few days, I have learned a lot. So what I understood and what is my opinion, that I would like to present in a brief in this platform. First of all, Raghavan Payanar started with a very serious issue, very important issue. We can remember the first day's program, knowledge production. Knowledge production. So that was Raghavan Payanar's issue. And on the second day, he also continued with the same topic along with some more theoretical, technical issues, adding some more theoretical, technical issues, getting us into the core area of folkloristics. That is parallelism between process of production of knowledge and industry. So of course, the Indian folkloristics came across with this type of theoretical and conceptual model, probably for the first time in Indian context. Raghavanji also have pointed out about the research process methodology adopted for production of knowledge. So research process, research methodology, that was his view. Another point is he elaborated the point of methodology, method of production in industry by highlighting research and industry application of theory. In Indian folkloristics, we are accustomed with Richard M. Dawson and about the proposal of the word folklore, folkloristics, etc. But this concept is being discussed with new connotation in Indian context. And very interestingly, Raghavanji's attempt to define folklore with reference to this, I just want to tell you that it was 8 days program. Folklore was not a word, it is a concept. So this helped us to understand, to re-understand, revisit, rethink, re-evaluate folklore in a new light. And in this, in conformity to his presentation, he has given us a very diachronic, critical and diachronic evaluation of what Richard M. Dawson says, Dundy's what Alan Dundy said, his first and his second definition, Don Ben Amos and Roger Abraham, etc. I think it is not necessary to elaborate because Sir has already pointed out. And towards another point is, he also have taken us to the core of attitude towards both folklore and folkloristics. So we have observed that so far folkloristics is concerned, he took into account many theoretical conceptual methods like Marxist, structural, psychoanalytic, contextual performance, preservation of folklore, including folklore and international affair, status of folklore in the academic discipline. So this was the basic, some of the major and some of the basic points that we have listened to, we have rather learned from our eminent, respected Raghavan Payanerjee. Along with Raghavan Payanerjee, I would also like to mention the conceptual frame presented by Sudhakar Reddy and Chella Perumal. So let me first start with, let me talk about Sudhakar Reddyji's paper. Very interesting. And he told us about the changing nature of the contour line of folklore, which very technically we say the conceptual boundary of folklore. Because he tried to, with regard to Raghavanji's concept, folklore is changing. Sudhakar Reddyji gave us a very concrete technical explanation, that is the contour line of folklore, contour of folklore. The conceptual boundary of folklore is changing. And I really appreciate to learn that the issue of inclusion and exclusion within the arena of folklore was raised by him. So this is really those who are working on theoretical aspect of folklore, on folkloristics, on the very technical dimension of folkloristics, the issue of inclusion and exclusion, he explained what is included in folklore and what is excluded. So this parameter of both inclusion and exclusion help us to revisit, rethink folklore from a different point of angle. Another interesting point is post-folklore in media. This is another point. So friends, we are dealing with folklore in a new millennia, in a post-modern period. So post-folklore is really a very interesting, and I think it is a very significant term on which we need to concentrate now. Along with this idea, he also have brought our attention towards the crossroads of folklore, including other disciplines. So that was Chella Perumalji's paper. And on 5th day, so far I can remember, many changes in the field of thought. In continuation to this idea, he mentioned how the survival, the concept of survival, a very a dominating theoretical frame. Of course, it came from the biological science theory of survival. Was the concept survival was rejected by functionalism. So I find it really unique because usually in folklore, we take theoretical concepts from other discipline. And this we take from literature and theory of survival or theory of evolution, influence the sociology, literature like that, theory of physics, psychoanalytic method that we use. But here, when we use the term survival within the arena of folklore, folkloristics, the concept is rejected by functionalism because nothing can survive if it is devoid of any function. So this will also help us. Also, really, I told you that certain points have been raised in this platform which compelled us to rethink folklore in the new light. And relationship with folklore and other disciplines, I don't elaborate this because this is a very known subject. So folkloristics, the relationship between folkloristics and anthropology, it's a long debate. It's a long interdependence, of course. We have many things, we have brought many things from anthropology. That is true. But gradually, folkloristics have developed its own theory and method. For example, just I can say one thing, that we are very much accustomed with the ethnography, the term ethnography. And we have used this, and it is a very popular concept to use ethnographic fieldwork like that. Our Showmanship in Bengal, he proposed folklorography. Recently, a paper on folklorography has already been published with a bit elaboration. So I can share this paper to IIF so that participants can go through it. So this is the main point, that folklore study tried to think, tried to create, tried to reframe its own theoretical frame. To what extent that theoretical frame is accepted, whether it is unanimously accepted or whether there is debate, that is different issue. But a very healthy sign is that we means those who deal with folklore in entire Indian perspective, in east, west, north, south. So we are trying to think, we are trying to develop our new theoretical method and model. This is what, not only in this folkloristics, in this workshop on folkloristics, I have been listening this from Raghavan Payanadu from the last to 20 or 25 years, because he always encourages young scholars to frame new theoretical concept. So this was another point. And finally, another Chilla Perumalji's presentation, he gave us critical remark. He gave us his insight. And the striking point which I would like to bring to your attention, because you can remember just some words are enough to remind you that he started with three major questions. Who are folk? Who is folklorist? How to study folklore? So these are the core issues on which we wanted to discuss, or we have been discussing on the major issues of folklore, the core issues of folkloristics. And I really would like to quote him, because I have written one of his quotation which I love: which discipline will dominate folklore study? This is the question of the time. To get a very concrete answer, very positive answer, to create a very positive answer to this question, we have assembled in this great platform to find out a way to create, to develop our own discipline, own logic, own argument. So if we depend on other discipline, it points out to our weakness. If we borrow some idea, that is other thing, because we use terms like interdisciplinary. So interdisciplinary means we should bring some knowledge from other discipline and make use of in this discipline. But sir was telling, Raghavan Payanarji was telling that we have borrowed mostly from different types of, where is our own theoretical model? That is the basic question. Which discipline will dominate folklore? Anthropology, sociology, or should we frame our independent folklore discipline? That is the main issue which we have been, the answer of which we are trying to get in this platform. Sudhakar Reddy's point, evolution we all know, co-evolution, the issues of co-evolution. This is also another way which helps us to think, to rethink folklore, to reframe folklore studies. And evolution, you all know, it has already been shown in a slide. But so far co-evolution is concerned, the generic, the epigenetic, the behavioral, and symbolism. These 4 points were raised by him, discussed by him. So to revisit folklore, all these points together, all these ideas together, all their view and visions all together helps us, leads us to go. I would like to quote Sudhakar Reddy, epistemological alternative. We need an alternative. So these are some of the highlight which I would like to say, which I would like to bring forth to your kind notice. And so far, how I understood today's workshop, not today's workshop, it's a long 2 weeks program, more than 2 weeks program. So what is the design? How IIF has designed this program is really unique. To the best of my understanding, I have prepared a conceptual map, the mapping of the design of this program. I will show you because, so this is a diagram, diagrammatic representation. You can see we have idea and objective. We have made presentation. We have taken participation and discussion. We have learned and we have synthesized something. We are also evaluating. At the same time, the entire process together helped us to arrive at point. Because if we take the history of folkloristics, if we consider the definitions within quoted, they are taken as definitions, of course. If you read more than 10 or 20 definitions of folklore, actually we are lost in no point. We are often rather confused, particularly our young generation, our learners, our students are often confused because the contour line, the conceptual boundary, the delineation between two concepts is sometimes hazy, is not clear. But this workshop helped us to arrive at point. What folklore is, what is included in the folklore, what is excluded, how to observe it, how to study it, what would be the theoretical and conceptual frame of this. So folklore as a term evolved in 1846 with some clue to explain it without any compact definition. Without any compact definition, we got some clue. Later on, the term caused many definitions developed, evolved, which we see in Maria Leach's standard dictionary of folklore, mythology, and legend. Multiple definitions are there with the entry folk. Apart from that, folk music, folk drama, we'll get some idea of folk into under that definition also. I have one very technical question. If we want to claim folkloristics to be science, folklore to be a science, how many definition is necessary? If the number of definition is more than 100, so this multiplicity of definition creates another problem. Raghavan Payanerji rightly pointed out that we have some genuine problems with folklore. So in this platform, we are trying to discuss on these core issues, and we shall try to find out a way to settle those unanswered questions. Actually, to the best of my understanding, the definitions we find in Maria Leach are interpretation. It is more interpretation than definition. They have interpreted their view. And Sir has already mentioned that most of them were anthropologists. So it was their definition. So in accordance with that, the notion of fridged definition of folklore. Do we need a fridged definition of folklore? Or should we propose the theoretical frame of our folklore? Very clearly Indian folklore or the folklore in Indian context, in conformity to the living folk dynamics, I mean the process which we are part of. So this we have to settle now. This was the main point what Sudhakar Reddy ji wanted to think. Sudhakar Reddy brought into our attention. For the scientific pursuit of folklore study, folkloristics, we need some constant parameters. Because I also believe that there are something which cannot be defined. Without definition, science is there. Just I want to share that in physics, heat, thermodynamism, we know the theory of thermodynamism, but there is no concrete definition of heat, but it is a real phenomena. In case of folklore, we may not come to an unanimous definition, but we need some clear-cut, constant parameters to identify folklore. In school level, we have been taught life science, but life is not defined; it is interpreted. So now we have to think that what as theoretician, as folklorist, now my question is that whether we go to define folklore, or whether we go without definition with some constant parameters to identify folk. This is also my question. This is not my, when we try to understand folklore, it is also essential to have an equilibrium between the constant features of folklore as well as the variable reality of folklore. You know, the variable reality, the concept of relativity is there. Again, we borrowed it, the concept, relativity concept, we borrowed it from other discipline. However, in actual situation, folklore is valuable, variable reality. Folk is there in Kolkata. Suppose folk is there in Calcutta, Bhubaneswar, Guwahati, Ranchi, Patna. In every city we find folk. And in modern, according to the modern folkloristics, they are urban folk, but they are folk. And folk people are there also in Sundarban, Jonai, Assam, Boharagoda, Jharkhand, Chhapra, Bihar, like that, in remote areas. But we cannot, one can perceive noticeable difference between the folks, the folk of Calcutta and folk of far Sundarban area. This relativity is also a real phenomena in our folklore. And to address this relativity, it is my humble suggestion, what I think in this direction, that we need some constant features, conspicuous constant features to identify folklore, to put folklore into a theoretical frame, including its variable reality. Revisiting folklore claims that this relativity should be addressed so as to reach to a point of unambiguous understanding. Whether our folklore is material, which we study as a subject, or our folk is a continuous tradition and reality in which we exist. Whether we possess folklore as we possess material, one table, one house, one car, or whether we inherit folklore, or both. So these are some of the areas, some of the fringe areas we need some clear-cut conceptual delineation or contour line. The definition or the connotation of folklore is changing, starting from, it has already been, I have already mentioned this, starting from William Jones to Don Ben Amos. So folklore has traversed a long way. And the more it traversed the way, the more it gets theoretically, conceptually crystallized. And because of this crystallization, we have formed our thought, our collective thought prompted us to form fossils and IIF, Dravidian University, Karnataka Folklore University, Kalyani Folk, the Department of Kalyani Folklore Department in Kalyani University. And if we take into consideration the case of our Indian subcontinent, that means in Bangladesh, in Nepal, they are also doing the works seriously on folklore. So in global scenario, we find different pictures. In West, they try to abolish folklore. And in Indian context, we find that we are establishing new universities. And by the last 2 or 3 decades, we have developed national level academic institutional forms to deal with folklore seriously. The journey started with fossils. And then Karnataka, Dravidian University, Kalyani University, University of Calcutta. So this history, I just want to remind you history that we need to attempt, to define folklore. This was one among the very serious point raised by Professor Raghavan Banerjee. I would like to say something about the UNESCO. Okay. UNESCO, you know what UNESCO is doing and what their theoretical frame is, but it is also necessary that we have to know the global trend of folklore research. Whether they want to abolish the subject, they want to remove the term folklore, whatever may be the reality, but we need to be aware about the reality, what is going on in the global level. And in conformity to that, we have to locate our position in national level. So with this regard, UNESCO, UNICEF, UNO, and there are other organizations also, we can talk about that. But so far, what globe thinks, what the entire globe is thinking. Raghavan Banerjee has mentioned about the Paris Conference 1889 and about the Washington Conference. You know that, so I just remember that. The model of intangible tradition is, of course, important, I believe. That we accept too. We do not want to deny the importance of intangible tradition, but the logic of accepting the intangibility contrary to folklore seems to be fallacious. That is my clear-cut conclusion. My point is that within the frame of folklore, we can accept the intangibility, but not by denying folklore, as the United Levels have proposed. The policies of UNESCO altogether have pushed folklore to a gross marginal position. So just I want to show you two diagrams to give what I think, the map of what I think in this context by considering the issues of UNESCO. So this is a very, yes, traditional knowledge. They put traditional knowledge on the top. Within it, stories, songs, riddles, beliefs, proverbs, community law, agricultural practices, cultural values, etc. They have included. Okay. But folklore, the position of folklore is marginal. This is what UNESCO tried to interpret folklore. Okay, no, this one is UNESCO's model. Yes, you see, folklore is in the bottom. Traditional knowledge is on the. That is their framing. But our point is that the point to which we would like to stick in Indian context. So this is represented here. So the point is that we do not want to deny the point of intangible knowledge or like that. As UNESCO interprets folklore as traditional culture expressions, intangible cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, intellectual property like that. So you all know it is available data. In actual life, folk is a living reality in India. It is a living reality in India. Considering the position of global trend of folklore study, and considering the reality of India, we need to develop a complete and comprehensive intellectual conceptual frame to retain folklore in our life, to explain folklore with logic and arguments. As policy, we have to decide certain technical question for academic pursuit, because this is a platform. I really feel proud to say that this IIF Folklore Workshop, it is not mere an online program. It is a national platform, because the core idea of organizing this program is to have a dialogue. What we think, what we together, we means the people of South, people of East, people of West, what we think all together. So our collective thought, we would like to share our collective thought in this platform. So this is a very great platform. Do we accept the decision of UNESCO and other international organizations with regard to folklore? What would be our standpoint? We need a very clear-cut answer. Want to evaluate the limitation of research model proposed by the West? That we also have to consider. Time has come to give an in-depth thought on these two issues. How we are going to evaluate folklore as a product in Indian context. You know, you can identify that this term was used by Raghavanji, product. At present, after the establishment of Karnataka Janapada Vishwavidyalaya, the Institute for Indian Folklore, we are in a position to tell that the discipline folklore herself will decide the theoretical and conceptual frame of folklore studies. We are already in a position to propose our own theoretical frame. This we have to do. This we have to materialize. That is our goal, that is our aim, that is our objective. Of course, we are indebted to anthropology, linguistics, sociology, and many more other disciplines. But we don't want any other discipline to determine the fate and future of folklore in any way. This is a very concrete and very pinpointed conclusion. But we have to do it. In this regard, Institute for Indian Folklore has a great role to play. The IIF now is a national level agency to propose what to do and how to do. So as a common man, not as a interested student in folklore, as a common man, I also expect IIF to guide us, to tell us, to show us way how folklore research will be done in future. What to do with folklore reality, not as subject. What to do with folklore reality in future. Usually we talk of different types of folklore, public folklore, applied folklore, visual folklore, urban folklore, etc., etc. You all know this. In academic research, this type of segmentation is helpful to understand the theoretical domain. I accept that. But I do hold that folklore is an undivided living reality in Indian context. It is also true that because of rapid urbanization and digitalization, some of the folklore genres are under serious threat. So this is not the problem of folklore alone. This is the problem of traditional culture of the entire globe. Folklore is undivided. This holistic view, the comprehensive totality and oneness has to be given priority. We need to develop theory and also need to suggest how can we make their fruitful application. So far application is concerned, I would like to mention that 1 minute. Bhakta Vatsal Reddy ji was telling that we got many theoretical suggestions, frame opinions, etc. But how to make use them, how to put them into reality. So this is also another point. Taking into the notion of evaluation and co-evaluation, our aim is to develop counter model of folkloristics as an alternative vision of folklore formulated by the UNESCO. We need to develop counter argument because anxiety of the cultural plurality, we are very much anxious about the cultural plurality, the plural setup, the multiplicity of the configuration of folk. So in this situation, time has come to formulate a very clear-cut model by which we can interpret, we can understand, we can protect folklore, the entire living cultural treasure of this Indian subcontinent. Because what we will think, because folklore, you can differentiate the folklore of Nepal and Mithila. We cannot differentiate the folklore of North Sri Lanka and South Tamil Nadu. We can differentiate the folklore of the Punjabi people living in Punjab and the western part of the neighboring country. So what we think would be a way, not only for India, would show a way of dealing with folklore to the entire Indian subcontinent, taking our neighboring countries, the cases of together. So friends, beyond academic exercise, this is a struggle against the global trend of pushing folklore to the subsurface. Only academic activities is not enough. It's a conceptual struggle. It's a theoretical struggle. It is not fighting. And finally, we should struggle, we should take pain, we should put our labor in framing our own theoretical folkloristic view. We all need to take effort to aware scholars regarding the trend and call them to jump into a movement to resist ourselves from being swept away by the flow that the West has started. Function. Again, I remember that theoretical frame, survival and function. So how can we survive? How can we survive? So by shouting, by crying, we need to survive. Crying is not enough. We have to do something. That's what struggle means. The formation of intangible culture instead of folklore is alarming. In folklore, we found spontaneous beauty of diversity. It is natural, and the pulse beat of the local regional characteristics is felt in folklore. Sudhakar Reddy was talking about inclusion and exclusion. Who is included in folk, who are excluded? In conformity to Sudhakar Reddy ji, I also would like to understand what is included in folklore and what are excluded. So this dichotomy of inclusion and exclusion is of course a complex model. But we have to address this serious issue. If we accept the parameter of intangible tradition to be folk in Indian context, who and what will be included in the folk, who and what will be excluded? What UNESCO is trying to do. In other words, the contour line of folklore, the conceptual boundary of folklore is not only changing, it is expanding by nature. We see a kind of plasticity. If we technically explain how the term folklore was interpreted, defined, or understood by William John Thorne's right up to Ben Amos and Roger Abraham, we find a kind of plasticity in the contour line of folklore. And this plasticity is real. And because of function within, because of the internal vitality of the content itself, this plasticity exists. So, so far folklore studies is concerned, my last point, I already have come at an end of my presentation. So I would like to say that we need a very clear-cut theoretical and methodological understanding. I love folklore. I have my emotion about folklore. This is not enough. Of course, this is enough to love folklore. We need this. But to do academic assignment, to deal with academically, to fight with the global trend, we have to be equipped with theoretical and conceptual methodological consciousness. Theoretical and conceptual part is that research methodology. I just want to highlight the points. Literature and data survey. We have plenty of data. Our positive point is that everywhere we have data. Maybe we are missing some data in the village and city areas, though in village and city we find urban folklore. That is different point. But we have plenty of data. We don't have to search out, dig out data. It is easily available. Teaching, learning, and research is another major issue of the theoretical part of folklore. Publication is another point. When a discipline grows, there remains many non-academic factors. A discipline grows with academic issues along with some very serious, important, helpful non-academic issues. Among them, one is challenge and confrontation. Another point is law and the issue of ethics. Some legal issues are there. When we talk about folklore and international issues, so it covers international relation in otherwise, not political, but cultural issues. We need to measure the resource and support. I want to do something. We want to do something. Our nation, our state want to do something. This vision is presented by the academicians, but to implement those vision, to implement those ideas, to translate those ideas into reality, we need some non-academic support. So we have to work in that sphere. For this, we need national support, financial support, political will, such and such are there. The most important point, knowledge generation. Raghavan sir pointed out repeatedly. I have been listening to Raghavan sir since long 30 years back. So generation of knowledge, production of knowledge, this time he told production of knowledge. This is our motto, this is our goal. And also, we have to be committed. We have to have our commitment towards society and towards the academic sphere. If I am doing some research on folklore, I have to ask myself, what is my social commitment? What new idea I have generated? What new thing I have added? Have I tried to frame a new theory? So these questions, these are some of the questions which we need to ask ourselves first. Okay, what I have pointed out, these are some of the very academic theoretical issues. Some practical, I would like to raise some practical issues at the end of my presentation. How system treats folklore. This is important. I love folklore, that is not enough. We love folklore, that is also not enough. There are multiple, there are a network of different systems. How systems identify, to what extent the system help us, gives us support, extend our cooperation to materialize our vision, that is also a very practical question, which is a non-academic part, but necessary part of for the advancement of folklore research and folklore studies. What is our collective initiative? And one real point I would like to bring to your attention, not your attention, I would like to bring this issue to this national platform, that without opening the door of employability, job opportunity, how long we can go with folklore study, how many years, how many decades? This is a very serious question. I love folklore, I like folklore. So the state has to think, the nation has to think, the system has to think that those who are coming with very bright vision, with high ambition, with enough skill and expertise, how our state, the systems, is going to utilize them, is going to recognize them. If we do not address this issue, I do not know how long we will be able to continue folklore studies in a proper way with all academic dynamism. My last point is that what is our idea? What is our idea? This is my last point. So we have been attending this workshop. I am really thankful to Bhakta Vatsal Reddy ji, Raghavan Payanar ji, Sudhakar ji, Chilla Perumal ji, Krishna Reddy ji, for involving me in this great event. We know this is a national platform. We came to know what globes say, but now we have to decide what we say. We know what globes say. Now time has come to decide what we want to say. This platform, this great platform, it's a great event really in the history of Indian folkloristics. It's a great event that we have national level organization like this. Earlier, there were other organizations were also there. In this regard, I remember National Folklore Support Center, NFSC, Folkland. There are many other organizations, but so far pure academic pursuit is concerned, IIF, which started her journey from fossil, has taken the leadership in channelizing our vision, concept, idea, and philosophy to a particular goal. I really appreciate that building strong present is necessary to step into a stable future. I am really very happy, and I hope, in spite of raising many questions doubtful and debated, still I hope we will be able to find out a concrete way in future. If the British people can create British anthropological school, the German people can create German anthropological school, or American School of Anthropology can be created, there is no doubt that our joint effort and support we can create Indian School of Folkloristics in future. With these few words, I would like to say thanks to everybody for listening to me. Whatever I have told, these are my humble suggestion. I just shared what I have seen, what I thought, and what I have understood. This is not the final words, but I place my vision in this great platform for further discussion and debate. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Now, to be frank, we are very much thankful to you for your well thought and discussed points which you have placed before us. It's not just a talk. You put a lot of responsibilities on the Institute for Indian Folklore to take up in the future. And also you have given very clear ideas about what to do in the future. As you rightly said, what global say and what we say. So that is the very, very important point which we need to take up, in the future. So for that, it's only the first attempt which we are doing right now. In future, I think let us have such a debates on each and every aspect that is making folklore as distinctive, at the same time non-distinctive also. As you rightly said, there are non-academic folklorists as well as academic folklorists. If that is the case, how to proceed is also another question which you have placed before us. So definitely we will think about those things. I think let us continue this kind of debate for the for the purpose of, for the benefit of our new generation who are coming to the folklore. As you know, all these days, we were talking about by collecting the data, we used to put our own impression of that. As Sudhakar rightly pointed out, is the inclusion that matters. It's not the exclusion. So that is why Professor Raghavan Painad all these days is trying to put forward the politics behind each and every concept which has come up in the form of theories in all these days. Okay, now what should be done? And here again, the basic question is, a society is a dynamic, so the every aspect of society is also dynamic, and folklore also is not an exception to it. If that is the case, we need to accept the changes even in the folklore discipline also. But how? How? So those points you have very well put forward before the our younger participants. I am really very much thankful to you, sir, for your I can say excellent what you call explanation of your impression. Or my request is you please send all your what you call those pictures, those tables, so that we will circulate among our participants. You said that they scanned copy.
Certainly, sir. I will send all the pictures.
Okay. And before that, I would like to ask all our participants to interact with the Professor Makbul, sir. Please.
Very good evening, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful reflections. Very helpful. You really concretized lot of important points. And I think what really took my attention was when you mentioned that only academic activity is not enough, that we need to focus also on non-academic support. And I remember Professor Raghavan Payanat sir also mentioned this, that under such circumstances as researchers, we need to also change our role. So, sir, I would really be happy if you can elaborate more on this, or just give us more idea on how we can proceed in this direction of garnering more support from non-academic areas.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for for listening to me, first of all, and thank you for your question. See, the journey of a discipline is not mere academic alone, because I, since the very beginning of fossils and since the very beginning of IIF, I was associated with the entire karma kanda, the entire process. So we know that we have to do many things beyond academic sphere, because establishing a university, running a department, making a policy, because research and academic advancement depends on many factors. One is policy, one is academic vision, second is the support of the system, and third is finance. So we have to assemble these three major points together. I have fund, I have academic support, but I do not have any vision. So this situation will produce no good result. So we have to have a very concrete, what to say, overlapping of the full support of the three factors at the same time can help us. But one point is that this journey is made in a different level that we have to remember. When I am a learner, what I can do, how much I can do, I have my limitation because I have to live in a frame. When you run, you are the head of the institution. He has also some works to do. So it's a joint work actually. If we want, I cannot do anything alone. It's a joint work. And in another word, the formation of IIF and this workshop is the victory of a joint venture. It's a joint work. So many non-academic factors are there. I just tell you that as a student, as a learner, don't think that you are learner. I am also a learner because I am also listening, participating this program to learn something. Try to generate some knowledge. I am also getting some idea how to generate knowledge, what Raghavan Payanerji was telling. How to put things into theoretical frame as Sudhakar Reddy ji and Chella Perumal ji, they brought before us. So this is a process of learning also. So when we do work, we have to do it collectively. It's a joint work. If we want to go alone, I can write a paper, that's much. But if we want to do in national level, if I have to fight against the global trend, we have to think in other way. That is what I understood. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think today we have another, senior-most folklorists of South India, the Professor Saraswati Venugopalji. Now I request her to share some of your views on Professor Bagbal. Yeah. Yeah.
Akka, namaskar.
Hello.
Namaskar.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Dr. Reddy, Professor Reddy asked me to.
No, the first open your video.
I don't
Okay. Professor Saraswati Venugopal, she retired as a professor and head Department of Folklore at Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Prior to that, she worked in the same department, that is the Department of Tamil. Later on, for 5 departments have been established from the Tamil department, and the folklore was one such department, and she was the first professor and head for that. And her main research is for her PhD work. These are lullabies of Tamil. She is a very one of the well-known folklorists of South India. And now I request her to share your views, madam. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reddy, and welcome to this August audience, Dr. Magbul Islam. He's my younger brother. I was really very happy to attend the speeches or discussions yesterday and today. Only 2 days I have attended. I'm sorry for that because I was not well for some time, and then only yesterday I mean 2 days back I knew that, and then from yesterday onwards I'm listening to the presentations, and it was really very difficult, in the present circumstance is not I don't know how to express really, because we are all belonging to the old old school and old generation and old thought also, I think so. But the younger generation, maybe they are very well advanced, and then scholars like Dr. Raghavan Painad, and especially Bhaktasal Reddy, and then Sudhakar Reddy. So these people are really very, they are actually going with the trend, and I hope, this trend will help our younger generation. I don't have any doubt in that. And today, when I was hearing, when I was attending that the speech of Dr. Islam, Makbul Islam, really it was very wonderful, because I didn't think he would have thought in such directions. And there was a scholar, lady scholar, who asked about the other, that is non-academic areas. We have to have connection, or we have to have really, something like, we have to have, real connection with the other agencies, like government. Government should, should hear what we say. Actually, today, when Makbul Islam was telling that about intangible cultural heritage and folklore, these are, that can be taken in folklore, but we can't just, we can't have intangible cultural heritage in the place of folklore. That when he said that, I was really very surprised, and then really not actually surprised, but I was very happy about it. Once again, about this, non-academic agencies. I don't know about other disciplines. I should not say I don't know, because I don't have that kind of idea, because all the disciplines, they may have difficulties, really. Any discipline, they will have difficulties. There's no doubting that. But our own discipline, I think we have such a kind of difficulty that any other discipline would not have. That's what I feel, because in Tamil we have even we are just talking about the naming of the discipline. You may really be surprised about it. That is, Chellaperumal. If Chellaperumal is there, he will accept this. That is, there are two terms, Nattupuraviyal and Nattar Valakkatriyal. And these two are well used. These terms are well used by most of the scholars. That is, half of the scholars, they are using Nattar Valakkatriyal. And the other people, See, I am in this field almost 50 years, 48 years. So almost 50 years. I'm just using Nattupuravir. So this is going on for such a long time. So you just imagine. So from the beginning, from the scratch, from the beginning, we are having this kind of difficulty. Even to name the discipline. Can you imagine what kind of difficulties we will have in our spectrum? So I mean, the one point I want to stress is we have to be very friendly. Friendly means we have to we should know how to approach and how to convince. This is very important. How to convince. We have to be very united. We should be very united, and we should. I don't know. This is just some stray thoughts. I'm just letting out because I was not prepared. I'm just telling you this. So. Not only in this actually in this platform, this is going to take our thoughts to the whole nation. So whoever is there, I mean they should, I mean that person or maybe those people should be, I mean if they are, as Makbul Islam told today, I love folklore and I like folklore, this is not enough. And what we should do, even for that, we should have a little small workshop. I think, because I don't have that kind of idea. What all we should do, and how to convince people, and how to bring out all our ideas to the I mean upper level. All this, So today, I think for 2 days or day before yesterday only, half the thing, that is after 8:30 only, I heard, I mean, Raghavan Payanat. And yesterday, I fully attended. And today, I was very fortunate to see my brother, and also I heard his wonderful speech. I mean, whatever, I mean, my stray thoughts only I have recorded, I have given here. This is not, maybe, I mean, this is not very, I mean, you might be thinking what actually I am thinking. If you are not convinced, then it may be my mistake. But what I have told here, just please think it over, and we should do whatever we have to do. Thank you.
Okay, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Thank you. By the way, she is my first teacher to learn Tamil. So in that way, she is my guru. Of course, both of us were there in the same department. She was as a teacher and I was as a research scholar in the same university. Okay, Ma, thank you for your very good session. Now I request the participants.
I offer my namaskar and pranam to elder sister, my respected Akka. Okay, for her comment.
Okay, thank you. Now I request the participants, you have another exactly 10 minutes. You can continue your discussion with the Professor Makbul Islam, sir.
Sir, myself, Dr. Sujay Mandol, sir.
Yes, Sujay, how are you?
Fine. Actually, I congratulate you for your excellent deliberation today. You have talked about folklore and folkloristics, and from the viewpoint of different aspects. You have rightly mentioned the employability of the folklore students and research scholars. This is the, I think, main issue in whole India, I think. We have a department, so many students are passed on, but employability is not good since 1992 till date, I think. But I want to know the recent trends in Indian folklore study. Actually, you can mention the key points about the recent trends in Indian folklore study in Indian context, not the European or other countries' perspective.
Okay. Thank you, Sujay, for your comment and question. Actually, the first issue you have raised regarding the issue of employability of the students of folklore, actually, I can share my experience, the case of West Bengal in particular. I do not know what is the situation in other states that I do not know, but in Bengal, our students, those who study folklore, those who love folklore, those who do PhD, MPhil research on folklore, they have hardly any opportunity. So this is a serious issue, and this we have to think. And I think, since this is a platform, can we, the IIF, talk to the government, have a dialogue with the government regarding this issue, so they can create some post in different block level or develop cultural section, folklore section, like that. So employability must be generated, otherwise there is no fate. That is one particular thing that is we have to accept in our context. And so far, the folklore studies in Indian context, this is a very vast chapter. Okay, but I can tell you one thing, that after the formation of after the beginning of folklore in University of Calcutta, then after the establishment of Kalyani University, I remember my teacher, Professor Tushar Chattopadhyay, after the establishment of folklore in Guwahati University, then in South, many universities, they teach folklore, they offer folklore. But one point I must admit, that South India, particularly fossils, they have started a movement. To the best of my understanding, if you want my evaluative comment, actually it is fossils who clubbed together, particularly it was named with South India, but later on we felt that it is necessary to make a pan-Indian platform. But how the four states, they joined together, and their collective work is an instance in the arena of folklore research in India, because folklore of India, folklore of Bengal, folklore of Assam, folklore of Jharkhand, Odisha, they worked individually, but fossils started her journey together. So this togetherness is a great force, and which has given birth to many. Sujay, you also know that you also have been there repeatedly in Dravidian University, Kuppam. Yes. And many times we attended. So it is a way, it shows a kind of way. And after that, again from South India, this IIF came. So now the point is that, so IIF is a national platform, and here we can join together without any hesitation. But the non-South India, it created some confusion. But since you are also a part of fossils, and me too, we know that the intention was to unite the entire India. So the entire folklore study crystallized. First crystallization of folklore study, we find it in fossils, and then in pan-Indian platform, the IIF. So this is really a mark. And each and every state has her own history. So this history is not equal. But I would like to say that in Bengal, folkloristics, so far the study of folkloristics is concerned, very structured folkloristic started with poet Rabindranath Tagore, including theoretical frame. Because we know him as he collected some rhymes and wrote on Kovigan like that. But in his Lok Sahitya, the great text, we find that he had very clear-cut multiple theoretical frame. So if I want to talk about the history of Bangla, Assam and Odisha, I can go on talking on that, but I think time is not there. So if any opportunity comes in future, we can do that. But thank you for raising this question. Thank you, Sujay. শোনা যাচ্ছে না কিছু? Please.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Sir. Professor Bhaktavatsil Reddy, sir. Actually, we want to move with fossils like Dravidian University. If you permit and your organization is permitted, then we will proceed to move Department of Folklore and of College University and fossils, I think.
Yeah, okay.
This is my
Thank you, sir.
aspiration.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Thank you. Definitely, we will collaborate with you.
Okay.
Because this only, as I said earlier, this is the first attempt that we are talking about the a kind of evaluation of the folklore research.
Yes.
Now, it is our duty or responsibility to go further.
Yes.
So what should we do? As Professor Makbul was telling, we have a different what to call the concepts to be. Yeah, there are different concepts to be framed to answer number of questions raised by him. So for that, the first thing is debate.
Yes.
Only through debate we will be able to express our own doubts, and we may get the clear-cut answer for that. So only when you are what to say, you are clear about your concepts, your ideas, then only you can go further.
Yes.
And then only you can guide the people. So this is only a first attempt in that direction, and we will go further in future with in collaboration with the different departments of folklore in all over India. We will conduct such debates.
Yes.
Of course, a debate come what we call workshop. We combine both. Workshop will be there, debate will be there.
Yes.
So like that we will continue.
Yes.
Is there any other question? It is 9 o'clock. If no questions are there, then hello.
Myself, Rajesh. Hello, Mr.
Sir, who would like to speak?
Rajeshri.
Yeah, someone who is speaking. Who is?
Rajeshri. Namaste, sir. Rajeshri. Am I audible?
Rajeshri, madam.
Rajeshri.
Rajeshri, would you like to speak? Yeah, please.
Yeah, can I, sir? Sir, yeah, namaste. Namaste, Makbul Islam, sir.
Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Saraswati Venugopal, madam, to our elder sister, madam, Saraswati Venugopal, madam, too. Okay, Makbul, sir, raised many issues and distant ideas to rethink and think and generate new ideas. Sir, you talked about the job opportunities too. In this regard, sir, our students in the Department of Folklore and Tribal Studies, we have many departments in all over India and some performing arts departments too. And all the students who are taking and doing their post-graduation studies, further they have to complete their, there's a need, NET or JRF. So UGC has not introduced these subjects in their syllabus. Only I think some folk literature or some subjects are introduced. So that is the need to mean like a folkloristics, folklore, and even tribal studies to introduce. We have to pressurize this UGC to introduce these subjects. We are actually we are trying to yeah pressure UGC, sir. There is also a need in this regard. Hello.
Yes, yes. Yes, so this is what you have said, Didi. What you have said is really a very serious issue. But we have to pressurize. Who is going to pressurize on behalf of the folklore platform? That is the question. For job opportunity, creating job opportunity in general, there are political groups to pressurize the government or the system. But to pressurize the system for the students of folklore, which body is going to pressurize them? And actually, basically, we are academic people. We are not within quote pressure groups as the political science defines. We are basically academic people. But what I believe in, this is my humble suggestion, that we can have a very healthy dialogue with the system, that means with the government, and tell them you can create this type of job opportunity for our students. So this concrete recommendation from the part of academic, from an academic platform, from this body IIF, I think we can think about this way, that where are our job opportunities? Suppose I am talking to the government of West Bengal. Suppose another state is talking to the state government. So it needs, since we are living in between the two governments, we have central government and state government, and education is in joint list. So we have to talk to both the government. So I just appreciate your spirit of the question, but it is not a so easy issue that I can give any ready-made answer right now, but we can take it into account, and we can think later on seriously. Since the issues came first time, we can do that. Thank you. Namaskar, sister. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow, as usual, we start by 6 o'clock. And for 1 hour, it is for the participants to raise any doubt. And there will be 3 scholars, Professor Raghavan Painad, Professor Sudhakar Reddy, and Professor Chella Perumal will be there. So you raise any question, any doubt. Question not to question them, but question to understand some of the concepts. You can raise questions and get the answers for that. Be punctual. 6 means be here by 6. Today only 6, 7 people were there. That's not good. Because most of the people, they are spending their time for this. So you respect others' commitment and be here by 6 o'clock, and we'll continue for 1 hour. And then next 2 hours, Professor Raghavan Painad will take the class. Okay? Thank you all. Thank you. Good night.
Sir, I have a small request. Sir, I have a small request. I may not be able to join at 6 because I have a visiting team coming for IOE review. So I will be joining at 7 for 2 days, next 2 days. Thank you.
Okay, okay. No,
Yeah,
it is 6 is for participants.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, namaste,
Shiv
namaste
Kumar
to
ji.
all the.
Yes, sir. I will be able to join. No problem. Tomorrow at 6 I will join.
Okay, please conclude. And thank you all. Good night.